Hello and welcome back to By Any Greens Necessary, the Endeleo show. I'm your host, Melvin Thompson, the executive director of the Endeleo Institute, which of course is located in the beautiful Washington Heights community. We are the nonprofit arm of Trinity United Church of Christ, located at 400 West 95th Street. Our pastor, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss the third, is our illustrious pastor, and he is a visionary that has given us this opportunity as a nonprofit to be the outreach arm of our church in the Washington Heights community in the greater Roseland area. So we're just thankful that we're here. This is, I think, the midpoint of our farmers market. Had a wonderful, picture perfect. Around this time, the weather gets really, really perfect. I think it was 80 degrees. We had our best crowd ever. We had great turnout, and and 1 o'clock at this address, 467 West 95th Street, which is the corner of 95th and Normal, to our community farmers market. You don't know what you're missing. Mr. Barker, I believe, one of our black farmers from Pembroke, Illinois, is going to be there, I believe, the next couple of weeks with his world-class watermelon, which sells out by probably 10 o'clock in the morning. So you got to get out there and check him out. And then as we go into August, he's got some soup that is tea. His soup is just incredible. It'll change your life, as our pastor says. So come on out to our community farmers market, 467 West 95th Street, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. every Saturday for the next 6 Saturdays in a row. We're in that home stretch right now, so we're really excited about what we're doing in the community. We're slowly gaining more traction in the community around healthy foods, healthy lifestyles, and just overall, quality of life. And we're doing that through what we eat, because we obviously know that this is the genesis of where our health comes from. It's the processed food that we tend to consume that happens to be in our community in these corner stores and readily available, because a lot of times we don't have access because of the food deserts in our community. We don't have the proper access to healthier stores. Sometimes they're 2 or 3 miles away from us, and so the farmers market really serves as that destination for healthy food. So if this isn't in your on your itinerary, please stop by. It's this year we did something a little different. We're doing family fun. So there's activities, there's dance. I gotta tell you, I just came from a retreat today, and midway during the retreat, we stopped to learn how to do the salsa. And I'm glad nobody videotaped that, because I don't want y'all to see me doing the salsa. But it was a really cool kind of diversion from a really long retreat, which was really good. But we do that kind of thing at our farmers market through Zumba, dance classes, different ministry work that we do, and just people who just want to come out and teach something. So we're really excited about that. And so please come out. I'm taking calls today at 312-738-1060. If there's something on your mind about the summer, we're heading into that season. My assistant just told me that we do an Upward Bound program at Christian Finger High School, Christian Finger Academy, and it's that time where we're getting prepared. So we had a big festival today about coming back to school and getting prepared and getting that mindset back around this time of year. So it's fortunately for parents, and probably unfortunately for young people, it's that time. So it's probably you've had a great summer. It's time to get back to business, and hopefully you haven't gotten too far away from your core subjects. We just had a wonderful trip to Oklahoma and Tennessee for our historically black college tour. I think I may have mentioned it last week, but that was a fantastic tour. I believe 38, was it T? 38 of our students? 38 of our students took a trip, and I heard this was the best trip ever. I don't know. I think it was just, we had some folks from Finger actually traveling with the young people, which I think was a first to have, actually employees of the school riding along with the kids, and I think that was really indicative of how much more they enjoyed it, and so we encouraged that. We shifted our bus tours from the spring because I think there was so many different organizations and worthy organizations doing the bus tours during spring that we were kind of competing against each other. And so we thought, my director thought, wow, what if we did this during the summer, when it was almost that lull where, kids have been out for a while and they're kind of looking for something to do, and you get the opportunity to go visit a prospective college, a historically black college or university. And so we've been doing that the last 2 or 3 years, and so it's been very successful during that particular time of the year. So, there's tons of work that we're doing in and around the Washington Heights, Greater Roseland community. So I encourage you to go to endeleoinstitute.org. That's endeleoinstitute.org, ENDELEO institute.org, and just look at some of the different programs that we're doing. We're in health. Our library project that I've told you about many times the last couple of years about how that library has been restored. Well, now you may recall that I've told you about the dementia-friendly aspect of Woodson Library, meaning now the staff there are trained to receive patrons that may be experiencing dementia or some kind of memory loss, and that training has been invaluable. We've got our partners at the American Heart Association, the Alzheimer's Association, Rush, the American Heart Association, so many different organizations that are working in tandem with Endeleo and the Woodson Library to be a hub for health information and awareness. So, one of the things we like to do is create an asset or recreate an asset and then give it more utility. So it's not just a library anymore. It's a community center. It's a voting place. It's a children's library. We've got U-Media for young teenagers to create your own mixtape. I mean, we've got 200 computers. We've got a maker lab, and if you're not familiar with a maker lab, they have 2 3D printers where you can make stuff. We've got a t-shirt machine where you can come in, make your own t-shirts. I mean, they're the Harsh collection, the Vivian Harsh collection, which is a museum, literally an African-American repository of the largest repository of African-American literature in the area, where people come in and do their research around African-American civil rights. And I think right now the Black Panther, the Illinois section of the Black Panther Party is being featured. So if you're a history fan or interested in learning about the incredible community organization that was the Black Panther Party, you'll love this ensemble because it gives you a lot of insight. I mean, they did breakfast programs, they did all kinds of different things, and I mean there was a real curriculum. I mean, so a lot of people might think that they were a gang or they were this just radical group. To some degree they were radical because they were one of those organizations that really kept the Chicago police on accountable, and were kind of like the watch group for a lot of injustices that were going on from the police department back in the day. But they were so much more. And so if you want to learn about those kind of things, and especially people who live in the community who may not even know that a Vivian Harsh collection of these kind of materials are located within the library. So I think we get like 26,000 people that come through the library every month. I mean, imagine that, 26,000 people. We've got 26,000 people in the Washington Heights community, and that many people come through the doors of Woodson Library on a monthly basis. So we've got a lot to offer, a lot of things happening along the 95th Street corridor. The city has made a lot of investments. I've talked about the 95th Street Red Line Station, which is just magnificent right now. Over 13,000 riders there. Pace is doing something really innovative and creating these new stops along 95th Street and along South Halsted. So there's a ton of new activity, new capital investment that is going on along 95th Street in Washington Heights. And so as a nonprofit, we're really looking to capitalize on all of these capital investments and all this civic infrastructure that is going on in our community. And of course, the Red Line extension that is slated to actually happen sometime in 2022, as early as 2022. So that's less than 3 years away. So, I mean, think about 95th Street being ground zero for an extension of this magnitude, the job opportunity, the economic development, the workforce training, and all of these things. So we're working collaboratively with all of those organizations, CTA, all the sister agencies of the city of Chicago, to improve this community while we have all of this investment going on. This is the time to strike while the iron is hot and just say, hey, we want to take advantage of this and not be looking outside the fence, and saying, wow, what's going on, because we were at the table from the beginning. So 312-738-1060. That's 312-738-1060. Tell me what's on your mind. If there's something going on in your community that's equally exciting, or there's something that's on the drawing board, love to hear about it. One of the things that I always kind of espouse is, connecting communities. So it's not just about Washington Heights, or it's not just about Auburn Gresham, it's not just about Bronzeville, it's not just about Inglewood, but it's often portrayed that way. And sometimes the communities are kind of pitted against one another to compete, for dollars, for attention, for all these things, when the South Side and West Sides really are labeled with the same broad brush. And so, if that is the case, from a negative standpoint, then we need to start, collectively, connecting with each other, to create something positive, so that, collectively we can make a greater impact. And I've talked about that, on several occasions, that we really need to not work in silos or in vacuums, because I think that's the way, foundations may see us. And so I think the more we collaborate, the more that we have a collective vision, because, I was saying earlier today in a retreat that there's no wall between Auburn Gresham and Washington Heights, or between Burnside and Washington Heights, or Roseland, or any of this. I mean, if there's a food desert here, 9 times out of 10, it's a food desert next door in the next door community. So, it's a problem that we all share. We just happen to have these labels of our community, and they really don't mean a whole lot, because we're all one community. And when we realize that, I think we're going to be better off, because I know the resources can be used across communities. And I'm starting to see that kind of collective mindset with some of our leaders. I got a chance to meet with some other African American executive directors in the governor's office downtown. Met with a representative of the governor's office, and just got a chance to we individually got a chance to unpack some of the things that we're doing in our respective communities as part of, I think, a listening tour for the governor's office. And so we're encouraged by that. And again, I think the more we're able to meet in one room and just hear the diversity and the similarities to what we're doing, we'll get more support that will connect the dots, and our community can start reversing some of the just the systemic and adverse damage that we've experienced over the last 50, 60, 70 years. And so, I love the word patient capital and patience in general, because it doesn't matter how much money you throw at a community, it's going to take time to kind of reverse the situation, the condition, and the overall mindset that got us there in the first place. And so we were talking about that today through a racial equity lens, and the whole concept of not being equal, but being equitable, which is a difference. Not giving everyone the same amount of resources, but the amount of resources that are adequate for that particular community. And I think there's a real distinction in that, because some communities may have an overabundance of this, and may not need as much, but typically, we all need a great deal, but again, it needs to be equitable. And so for us to have a transit system where $300 million was poured into this 95th Street station is, that's a game changer. Any way you look at a station, a record amount of money to date being spent on a train station, you've got to capitalize on that. And so because we have this corridor that has been, economic development has leapfrogged it for umpteen years, now's the time to start, doing some catalytic development and putting some stakes in the ground and saying, hey, we can capitalize off this transit station and start creating businesses and entrepreneurship. I just got an email the other day that said, get this, by 2020, 50% of the population will have a 1099 or be involved in some kind of entrepreneurship endeavor. 2020, that's next year. So when you think about where the country is going, we're going more towards an entrepreneurship model. You hear that term, kind of bandied about, and you don't really give it that much credence, but it really is the reality that folks are walking away from corporate America, from their jobs, from just this work that is not suitable to them, isn't paying them what they think they should be getting, and their healthcare costs are going through the roof. And so I think the rationale is if I'm going to work this hard, maybe I should be doing this for myself. And so I couldn't be happier because the students that we talked about earlier, in our college and career readiness program, I really want this preached to them. And I said this earlier today at our retreat that, we have to check the boxes in terms of college and career readiness programs. But at the same time, there are future welders, there are future plumbers, there are future carpenters, pipe fitters, all of these things that pay, an incredible wage, and you can start to do that. You can join a union, you can do that on your own, you can start your own business. That is a field where in this community, plumbers are always needed, carpenters are always needed, renovations are always going on, people are always looking to improve what they already have. And so this is a open opportunity to kind of hone new skills, kind of reinvent yourself, and partake in this new entrepreneurship drive. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about with Woodson is, kind of once again repositioning Woodson as this entrepreneurship hub where information and education and awareness around how to set up a business plan. What do you need to do to create credit? What are the things that go into even starting a business? Idea generation, all those kind of things, because we want to partake in this new wave of how to make a living. I had an instructor tell me one time that the world of work is only a couple of 100 years old, that we used to be entrepreneurs in this country through the barter system. We didn't always work for someone else. And so, to hear that entrepreneurship is kind of back in vogue and that people are taking ownership of their careers and their livelihoods and their quality of life is a breath of fresh air, because I think that's exactly what we need to be doing, and I'm all for it. So you're going to see along the corridor, you're going to see some folks, that aspire to do just that, set up shop on 95th Street. We're going to be, that's part of our mission to revitalize the 95th Street corridor. And we do want to see businesses that are reflective of the community. And because we've done our homework in terms of engaging the community, finding out what the priorities were, what the needs are, and they're diverse. I mean, they're people who want quality health care. They want a new quality health care system right on 95th Street. And so we're taking all of that into consideration because that's what's coming from the community. So from a laundromat to a sit-down restaurant to a diner, youth activities for young people to engage them in. I mean, just the whole gamut. And under the umbrella of, a health-conscious corridor, because I think, people always tend to think that health reverts to health care, but sometimes it's just being in a spa or going somewhere to relax and kick back, read a book, sit in a diner, sit in a coffee shop or a cafe. Those things contribute to health and wellness, and having a place to go see your neighbors outside of your block, in a social space. That's what the library has been able to achieve. That you can come there, see folks, check out a book, get on a computer, attend a workshop, go to the auditorium, go to the museum inside of the library. I mean, there's just a myriad of things that you can do at the Woodson Library. And so what we want to do is replicate that along the corridor so that, the cafe is also not just a cafe, but it's a community center where spoken word or, maybe there's a instructional night about learning to cook a certain way, or there's a feature film that folks who didn't get out to the movies. I know they just showed I think Black Panther at the Woodson Library in the auditorium, which is amazing to do. So there's unlimited things that we can do right in our neighborhoods, and I think this is really going to be the return of the neighborhood, and I'm excited about it. And it begins with our farmers market. So please come out to our farmers market. We're at that midway point again of just working with other African American vendors, and it's not just limited to food. There's jewelry, there are all kinds of things. I mean, my ginger juice, I'm gonna be there tomorrow, Saturday, to pick that up. It's delicious and it's good for you. So with that, we look forward to seeing you at 467 West 95th Street, the corner of 95th and Normal. Get there early from 8 o'clock to 1 p.m. and we'll see you soon. Enjoy.